Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Xah Talk Show. Today is August 14th, 2019. Hey guys, now we have the YouTube set up, and this is great. And hold on a second. Am I online? It should be really on time. Wait, it still says offline. So are you guys saying? Are you guys seeing me? Because it says offline here. Are you guys seeing my video? Am I live? Okay, so you are seeing me, but for some reason, you should always schedule your streams easier. Yeah. Okay, I'm live, but for some reason, this stupid YouTube it's not showing online. Okay, so guys, so what are the topics? So and thanks to John Lewis for prompting me to set up this YouTube, sketch. Well, not schedule, but the URL so that people know where to go, which is much better because. Okay, so what's going to be the topics? So let me. So John Lewis says you shaken me with the point about programming language elites. Okay, we can talk about that a little bit. And Bartholomew says elitism. Okay, and everyone else, 3 or 4 are my choices. Okay, number three. Okay, so number 3 is random chat. Okay, and 4 is Emacs diet tips. Okay, so it looks like we're gonna do random chat then, and maybe Emacs diet. Uh, so so type whatever you like to see. Okay, if you haven't been, I gotta fix this. Hold on a second. Why is this refresh? Yes, don't do anything crazy. Okay. Okay, show that for random chat. Okay, so let's do random chat then. Okay, yeah, now finally this is working good. Okay, let's do random chat. Random. Today's topic is random. Okay, random. Let's start off with this one. I was writing my wordy blog, English wordy blog. So now for this one, you have to look carefully. Now there's a poem here. You see that poem? Now read it. My friend, you don't know English. Okay. So look at this poem. It says, "Draw a breath for progress. Tread abreast ahead. Fight against old spelling. Better read than read. Spread the words at breakfast. Measure them in bed. Dream of wealth and treasure. Better dead than dead." So that's if normally if you see this, if you are a native English speaker, American or Britain, you'll get offended, all those grammar Nazis, because you see this, all the words are spelled wrong, but actually this is a spelling reform. This is a spelling reform of a specific one called SR1. So in fact, and this is the example of a poem using the new spelling. Basically, the premise, the principle is that you want to make the spelling regular, based on pronunciation. And by the way, the property, in linguistics, there is a property where uh, when your written form is the same as a pronunciation, as much as possible, no irregularities, such as Spanish. Spanish is kind of more like that. English is not. So there's a name to that property, but does anyone know what's the name for that? I mean, there's a name. I mean, when a language where the spelling is exactly the same as how it's written, there's a name for that. I forgot. But anyway, so this is the one of the spelling reform, because English is very bad, extremely bad about how a word is spelled and how it is pronounced. And there are lots of English spelling reforms in history actually. So we have this Wikipedia article, and they show you many, 16th century, 17th century, 19th century, 20th century. But usually they don't succeed, like for a while, maybe some famous guy, famous writer, or some educator, it becomes a movement for a while, then basically it just dies out. Why does that happen? I mean, why is this not successful? Because I think mostly because people. Well, first of all, people don't like to change. Okay, people are. Am I still alive? People are. People don't want to change. That you don't want to change your habit. For example, you already know English. You don't want to get on with the new program. Change all the spelling. Although it's easier for new people, for example, Chinese, Russian, other countries, when they learn English, they will find it great. The spelling reform, so everything is more regular. But for native speakers, you don't want first, because you don't want to change the habit. I think that is actually the primary reason all these spelling reforms are never successful. I think that is the primary reason. So this is about English spelling reform, but there are a lot of them. You can look into them. It's very interesting. Like there's so much. Um, so spelling reform is one thing. There's also reform of the alphabet. Actually, there is also reform of the alphabet. For example, there is one called. Oh yeah, I know Lojban. I have a tutorial on that. Okay, let me show you. Okay, hold on a second. Okay, since we are not talking about Emacs, let's move this maybe up here. So let me show you Lojban. Wordy English. Okay, so Wordy English is my English blog. Then yeah, I have several things here, but let's go to Lojban. Lojban is a language based on logic, based on the mathematical idea of logic. Okay, and why is it? Okay, what are these? Those are supposed to be ads, I guess. Anyway, so I have kind of a tutorial here, and it turns out, these comics, XKCD, also have an episode about Lojban. Lojban is a language based on logic. The idea is that, okay, this is quite interesting because there is a theory called Sapir-Whorf theory. Let's see if I mentioned it here. I don't remember if I mentioned here, but there is this theory called Sapir-Whorf. Let's we are getting off into lots of topics, but let me yes, I'm alive. I'm still alive. Yes, indeed. That's why spelling bees are such a big hit. Excuse me. Yeah, spelling bees is the worst shit in the universe. You have these spelling bees. That's the worst. It's incredible. It has no merit. yeah, it's quite an achievement to master English spelling. One there are few of my like restaurant. How do you spell restaurant? Restaurant. I think that is no, that is incorrect. Tauraunt. No, that's incorrect. Okay, so the correct one is this Restaurant, and that's not good a word. Too bad a word. You should say eatery, Eatery. Okay, or eat house, or eat shop, something like that. Eat shop. Make it logical. When someone, you will know about problems in English when you ask someone who do not speak English, Chinese, Russian, Japanese, for example. In a similar way, I mean, most of you are native English speakers, but if you are learning Chinese, oh yeah, try it. When you are trying to learn Chinese, you'll realize, oh my God, all these irregularities, like totally incomprehensible, illogical, and this is stupid. The word stupid comes to your tongue because truly that is what it is. It's just stupid, really. You rather have a logical way, but in fact that's the same thing that happens in English. It's just that if you are the native speaker, you don't realize it because you were born with it. In the same way, I was born in Taiwan. I was a native Chinese speaker. I didn't learn English until I was 15 to 14 years old. Okay, when I moved out to first in Paraguay in South America, then then in Central America, then finally in Canada. I was in Canada when I was 16. So basically, when I was 16, well, 15 or 16, I started to learn English for real, because you have to learn it. You talk to people. You have to because you are no longer in Taiwan. So I was, Chinese speaker. So when I learn English, I find lots of problems, irregularities, and why is that? And get this. Most of the questions you ask to English speakers, they do not know the answer. You guys, okay? You know, like right now, this is like 30 years ago, so I know English well today, and I forgot all the questions I had. It's like long ago, 30 years ago. I don't remember what the questions, but for someone new to English, they have asked questions. Why is this way? Like it's totally illogical. They ask you, and most you will not be able to answer. You just say, oh, just say it that way, just say it, just do it that way. So natural languages, I think all natural languages are like that. French, Russian, because they are developed throughout history. They are evolved. Like in the beginning, from a anthropological point of view, you could say, like, there's no grammarians. There's no there's no like correct way to say something. There's no such thing. You meet another animal, over there. You just you utter whatever you communicate. There's no grammar or things like that. It's later on people started to do those things, grammar and stuff, and spelling and standards, especially French language. They are very they are very firm about, they want to keep French a very strict standard. This, you have to follow, this is the right way. So anyway, we were talking about natural languages. Should I write out like what we were talking about, like a list of topic, because usually that way gives people a sense what's we've been talking. But usually that's good if you are doing programming languages. But since today we are random, let's see, illogical, irregularity of natural languages. Okay, that's one thing we talked about. And we are going to talk about Sapir-Whorf uh, theorem. Okay, okay, it's called linguistic relativity now. Okay, so it's Sapirwhorf, Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. Okay, this Sapir-Whorf hypothesis basically it says, it's a hypothesis that language, controls your thought to certain degree, or 100 degree, depends. So this is okay. Now they changed the name. I've been reading Wikipedia like every year or so. Like um, I have like 7,000 links to Wikipedia for my website. Sorry, what is being water? What being water? I got my shit. Okay, I gotta need. I have to read the. Okay, it's not there. Uh, Wikipedia. Okay, so hold on a second. Um, okay, so Sally.org. Okay, so there it is. I have this page shows. This page is generated last time in 2016, and I have 7,000 links to Wikipedia. Each one of these is a link to my page, and on that page, I have a link to a Wikipedia page. So, on Wikipedia, I check it often. So, on this, it used to be a Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. So, I guess now they changed the name to linguistic relativity. I don't know for what reason. Sometimes it's political. They change things for political reasons, like current fashion of thinking. And Lojban, okay, Lojban is the logical language. So let's get back to the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. Basically, you can read it. Basically, it says, language controls your thoughts. For example, I speak Chinese, you speak English. Perhaps English is more logical. Therefore, people whose native language is English will have more logical thought. That is the hypothesis. Your language actually controls your thought, which in turn controls your behavior. Your ideas. Things like that. So that's the idea. A Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. And so Lojban is language based on logic. It's absolute regular spelling and pronunciation. I mean, everything is regular. It's like mathematics, and it's very simple. And but the main point is that the semantics, how language makes meaning, is also logical, because this language originally it's called loglang, 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 like logical language. But the guy who invented loglang went into a patent dispute. He patented the loglang language. Then the community got unhappy with him, so they went to court. There's a fight, and it turns out he lost. The court decided, oh, the community can actually use it. But anyway, the community decided to create a new language, Lojban. So it's called Lojban. Okay, Lojban. All these are on Wikipedia. You can look up loglang. Okay, so this group created Lojban, but originally it's loglang. But however, they are different because all the vocabularies are different. But however, the principle is the same. These two languages are based on logic, strict logic. So the main point about loglang is that everything is regular. The spelling, the writing system is as regular as possible, 100% regularity. But also, the main point about them, as opposed to other natural languages or artificial languages, is that loglang, the semantics, the meaning is based on logic. So that, like mathematical logic, predicate logic, first order logic. So that the thought is that since you have this extremely, mathematical language, so perhaps if for people who speak this language, you could remove limitations from your thought, that's limited by the language you speak, such as English or Chinese. So that is, the origin, the purpose, the principle of Lojban or loglang. Okay, loglang. Okay, so what am I going to say? So Lojban. So yeah, so I studied this for a while, for several years on and off, and I wrote several tutorials, starting in 2004. And the tutorial includes pronunciation, back then. For example, let's see, hakji. So hakji means hungry. Okay, I don't know if you guys can hear it. Can you guys hear it? Hold on a second. Oh, do you guys get echoes? Do you guys get echoes right now? Okay, so let me get to a stop. Then let me read the comments. So let me finish the thought here. So anyway, I got the recording. You can hakji is means hungry. And what is this? Okay, and this one is Chinese. I'm pronouncing Chinese. So hakji. So this is the definition of hakji in Lojban. Okay, so let me show you what it is like. Okay, so you have this is a sentence. So the definition is x1 hungers for x2. Okay, so that's one definition. The second one is x1 needs or wants food, fuel, x2. Okay, so let's just focus on the first part. So x1 hunger for x2. That's a definition for the word hakji. So the x1 and x2 are variables. You can replace them, with other things. For example, x1 can be me, so I hunger for something. So x2 can be a banana, for example. Then, it means I want a banana or I'm hungry for a banana. So you see, every word in Lojban, well, every verb in Lojban is defined like that. So you have, these variables, and then you have a kind of meaning. So yeah. So to say I'm hungry for banana, you would say x1 hakji x2. So hakji is the word hunger here. So x1 you can replace it with, you, me, he, or a name, and x2 can be a food or can be a car. It. So if you say x1 hunger for car, that means you want a car. You really love to have a car. So this is Lojban. Okay. Uh, let me put links here. Just get, visit my websites. Uh, so that's Lojban, and we talked about Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. So if this is true, Sapir-Whorf hypothesis, if it is true, then Lojban would be greatly powerful. When you study Lojban, there's lots of details you get into, because it's basically you getting into linguistics. You start to discover lots of the issues in linguistics, lots of semantic problems. Not just the spelling or the irregular verbs, the tenses, not just that, but you actually got into many the logical issues of the semantics. Like what does it mean? You can see that if you actually start to learn Lojban. So Lojban has this is their spec kind of that I copied it from their spec. It's open source, so you can read it. It's long. It's many chapters. It's like it's a book, Lojban. So I started to learn it, and also the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. For programming languages, this is absolutely true. For example, many of you will probably agree. Like if you code C, then if you code Python, it needs not be Python. It could be Python, Ruby, Golang, JavaScript. You will realize if you code it in C and never anything else, as opposed to someone coding in Python, you will see that the Python guy will know a lot constructs that never occurs to the C guy. In the same way for Lisp, for Haskell functional languages, it as far as programming language is concerned, the languages matters. It actually does change how you think about algorithms. It changes your perception and what you do. But we don't know for sure it is actually true for natural languages. And by the way, I have heard, but not verified. I don't know if it's true that there are people, babies who were born whose first language is it Lojban or Esperanto. I think I'm not sure it's true for Lojban. I think I've heard that there were people, babies, who were born. So the baby's first language is Lojban. That's incredible. That's something incredible. But I don't know if that's true. I heard somewhere, I forgot long ago. But I think it's definitely true that there are there are people whose first language is Esperanto. Esperanto is another artificial language. You call constructed language. Which meaning that human just made it up. So it shares many things with Lojban. It's regular, for example, so it's extremely easy to learn Esperanto. So that's the let me show it. So Lojban Esperanto. Okay, hold on a second. Let me copy my website, copy it, switch back, linkify, and Lojban. Let's go to Wikipedia. Loglang. Okay, so Loglang, and they have a website. I have fought, argued with some of these people, Lojban. They are computer nerds. Okay, they are just like the Unix philosophy and nerds, meaning that they are prone to argue and attack other people, antagonistic. If you do not agree on something, you get into a fight and fight with them. And they also just like Lisp communities, Perl communities, just like programmers, they want to uphold their community like Emacs. Okay, but if you say anything even reasonable, rational, but doesn't look so good on the community, they will attack you. Like they will attack you. This is a fuck scums. For example, one time I criticized the logo. This is the most idiotic logo, okay, in the universe. And of course, they disagree. Oh, you are a troll and so on. And but you look at them, you look at what they say. They have no idea. They have like zero idea what is logo design. What is supposed to be the purpose of a logo. They don't know. But it's part of the community thing, tribalism. Uh, so let me mention that logo design. Okay, let's search for that because there's a website I want to show. Okay, purpose of logo and principle of logo design. I wrote this page back in 2007 originally because I have so many fight with the programmers or nerds about logos. It happens on the Lojban we mentioned before. It also happened in Lisp communities. I tell them we need a logo. They say, "Oh no," and so on, so on. and lots of then it also happened with Python communities, stupid Python scums. Python. Okay, well, okay, we digressed a lot. We have so many things to talk about, and we haven't get into the comments. So many comments going. It's so busy. So one of the thing about logo, one of the nerds, they like to say this happened with my argument with the Python people back in 2006 or so, and also happened with the Lisp people. I have actually a Lisp logo tool, Lambda logo tool. Lisp needs a logo. Uh, so okay, so this page collected all the Lambda logos. You can see. I think they are beautiful. I love the Lambda logos. Okay, so this is the article. Let me. I need to post link. Post link. Uh, so that. Okay, so let's post a link here. Lambda logo tool, and there is another one. And this article is about Lisp needs a logo. This is when back then I was telling these people we need a logo, but they say, oh no, and so on. Uh, we have a fight. So they call me a troll. That's. So this is the article about some of that. Lisp logo. So let me talk about Python logo for a bit. So with these people, okay, what happened is that they Lambda logo tool, Lojban tutorial, Lisp needs logo. Hold on a second. Let me needs another one. Logo design. Okay, there are some principles about logo. We talk about the purpose of a logo, then principles of a logo design. What makes a good logo? What makes a logo bad? For example, all these are bad because they are generic. They don't. There are many reasons. You can read the details. Um, okay, so let me post that here maybe. So and we're gonna get back to the languages and so on. There are so many things I want to get back to. I haven't started to talk about them yet, but we get sidetracked to a logo. But let me say something about logo, then we'll be done with that. So I argue with the Python people, and Python they do not have a logo back in 2006 up to until, let me tell you, when did Python start to have a logo? Okay, until 2005. Okay, so I was arguing before that with the Python people before 2005, 2004 or 2003. Okay, until so before this official logo, it used to be unofficial. You have this, all these Python logos. Okay, so I was telling them, we need a logo, and the typical, here's the thing I want to say, the typical response for nerds is that, from these programmers, Unix philosophy, all this bunch of bullshit. The typical response is that, oh no, we don't need a logo because we don't need dressing. Programmers, typical programmers, they think everything else is a fluff. Like the web page, don't need to be pretty. Typical web page of these nerds is extremely ugly. They think they tend to, a lot of them tend to think like that. Programmers, they argue you don't need the logo, we don't need the logo. Until, and when do they become to start to have a logo? When the group actually becomes big. Okay, I'm thinking my roommate is back. When the group becomes big in a society, any community, when you actually become big, you start to have a lot of people. Then the nerds, stupid nerds, they started to see, actually, you start to have salesmen, designers, artists, all sort of people instead of just nerds. Then they decided that because you need a logo, because in modern society everything is a logo. That's a fact of life. A logo. So what does a logo do? It's like a person's name. Okay, a person, you have a name. You don't say, oh, I don't need a name. I'm just me. I don't need a name. But logo is is a pictorial version of a name. So Python is a name, but you can also have a logo that's a pictorial representation of your thing, of the language, so that people can see, they can recognize it. And also imagery, pictures are the primary communication of human animals, not text. Text, writing system is invented much later. And also writing systems begin by pictures, pictograph. Egyptians, Egyptian has that, and Chinese has that. They begin with pictures. So pictures is a visual, is a primary, the more primitive communication. Therefore, logos, logo, you don't have to have it, okay? But in modern society, you don't say, do we need a car? No, you don't need a car, but you have a car probably, especially in USA, you drive, so logo is, it has critical functions in modern society. That's what logo is for. And similarly, when you talk to these people, these nerds, these fucking nerds, they say, "Oh, you are a troll." They start to do nasty things to me, like all sort of name calling or whatever, and plonk, there's programmers like, "Oh, they just kill file Sally, he's a troll," this. So I, so I had 10 years, more than 10 years arguments with these programmers. And so I wrote this article in 2007. Like, I want to tell the world, finally I want to, like, write a one coherent article about the whole issues. Anyway, so we say, so that's about logos. But we were talking about languages. There are so many things we irregularities of natural languages, Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. Okay, so it's meaningful for programming languages. That makes a difference for sure, but we don't know for uh, uh, we don't know if that's the case for natural languages. So we talk about Lojban, Esperanto. We talk about logos. Yeah. Let me read the comments, and then we um, then we said, let's see what's the next thing. Lojban. Yeah. Okay. I think there's so many comments. Oh my God, so many comments. How long I've been talking? Live dashboard, 14 people. Wow, that's a lot of people for me. When I look at other YouTubers, when they go live, there's like the comments just fly by, 10 comments per second, and they have thousands people watching. I'm doing so poorly here. So let's see the comments. Okay, I'm not going to read everything, and my eyes is getting bad. So Lojban, that's like spelling Lojban. Yeah, spelling Lojban is regular. You should index your pages with title categories and open up pages straight from Emacs. Uh, that's easier said than done. uh, okay, for some reason, eat house sounds very Chinese to me. Yeah, I yeah. Uh, writing stick. I'm taking notes with writing stick. What's a writing stick? Oh, pen. Okay, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that's so logical. You see, being logical, there is this advantage because you don't need to know the words. I know, by looking at writing stick, I know what it means. Being water, indeed. Well, being water, you didn't specify the plant, so Yeah, coffee plant water. That would be good. Xah's example of reminding me of Trump spelling it Kofefe. uh, so Jean Louis says, Xah, don't get distracted. You continue. He just drinks spring water. Okay. Same as my literal bathroom. Likes to digress. So, tends to digress for the digressive reasons. Nested digression, recursion. Digress recursively. That's great. Yeah, one of the story about about recursive digression, like stories within a story. I've talked about this before. That is the Arabian Nights, the story of 1001 Nights. Nothing like Disney. Okay, if you are thinking Disney, whatever you know about Arabian Nights is completely wrong. It's like not even close. Okay, Arabian Nights. You guys should check it out. Okay, let's just search for Xali Arabian Nights. Arabian Nights is kind of like it's classified. It used to be classified as pornography. Okay, so, and when you read that, you want to read by this guy, Sir Richard Burton. He's a great scholar. He's a fantastic guy. And the book of 1001 Nights, I find it his translation. Okay, you must read his because there are so many versions. Like some are written, like for children, and most of the existing translations they are elided, censored. They just censor everything out. And Disney is entirely a different thing. That's not Arabian Nights. Disney. You think of genie or whatever. It's yeah. Basically the whatever Disney versions. They Punta Hunter or Mulan, whatever. They are like fast foods, like Americanized other culture. Okay, they remove everything about other culture except the colorful hats. You still have that, or the Chinese eyes. You still have that. So what remains is the colorful hat and American. The skin color. Everything is American. that's that's Disney's version when they comes to other cultures like Disney, many Disney movies. But anyway, Arabian Nights. Okay, so this you want to read this one. Okay, by Sir Richard Burton. Okay, and let me give you one example. Okay, and also this is a great book. You can buy it from. Uh, let me explain what that book is about. Okay, so Arabian Nights. Let me post it here. Link and buy from my website. This is partial advertisement. Just Amazon buy it from my website. So Arabian Nights. If you want to read the real, true Arabian Nights without censorship and without diluted or watered down or Americanized things, there are two options. One, read the ones by Sir Richard Burton, or now this one is translated in the 1800s. He's a great scholar. He's like polyglot. He's a polyglot. Okay, multi-talented. Expert in many things. In language, he's also a linguistic. He speaks like 20 something languages. Master of it. Sir Richard Burton. Okay, he's also an expert fencer. Swordsman, fencer. Uh, so he has a translation in 1800. So that's the one you can read. The other one is the modern by this guy Hudson Hathaway. Okay, so you can get these two versions. These are the real Arabian Nights. Now the the Sir Richard Burton's version is very archaic and elaborate, meaning it's difficult to read. For example, I actually took me several years. I annotated. I read them. I annotated these Arabian Nights. You can and then I added JavaScript. You know, uh, all these difficult words. Tide, braves, loaded, lieges, height, you know, many. I took it took me like I took 2 years to annotate them. So the problem with the Sir Burton's version is that he tried to write it in a archaic and poetic way. So it's almost like reading Shakespeare. So it's harder to understand. So that is why you might try to read this modern guy, this version. I haven't read it. I don't have it. So that's why you might want to get this version. But however, Sir Richard Burton's version, I like the way he did exactly. I like those difficult words. You know, like it begins with two brothers. Okay, this is the first story of King Shara and his brother, two brothers. In the name of Allah, the compassionate. That's his style of translation. And praise be to Allah, the beneficent King, the creator of the universe, Lord of three worlds, who set up the firmament without pillars in its stead, and so on. Anyway, and there's lots of poetries there, intermixed there. Uh, and look at this picture, okay? This picture, it might be shocking to you. You might be, what the, this is representative of the entire Arabian Nights. This guy cutting the other two couple, they cut them in half. That is representative of the entire Arabian Nights. Anyway, so that's the story, and Arabian Nights. And this is one of the most enjoyable. I like the literature I've read. I like it very much. This and Shakespeare. There's one by I really love Shakespeare stuff. Like before, when I read, I heard sometimes programmers talk, mention Shakespeare. Before I knew it, I thought, what the, what the fuck, Shakespeare? What is that? Who cares? But after I started to know, my first exposure to Shakespeare is actually in college, in 1991, community college, 1992 or so. But then after, I really love Shakespeare stuff, the way he uses language. Okay, I think that's a break. Now let's see, let's go back. So how did we, oh yeah, so we were talking about Arabian Nights because Arabian Nights is one of the first or classic story where they feature nested nested stories within a story. So as the Shahara, something, the girl who tells a story. Oh yeah, that begin with the first one. So you have this story, and in the end, the daughter, uh, is married to the king. Then she tells another story. Actually, we haven't reached to that yet. I think, anyway. So then you have the someone, in a story, this guy is telling another story. That is the tale of the bull and the ass. Okay, the tale of the bull and the ass. Then they start to tell another story. So it's all nested story. It's not actually well nested, so it's like a tree. So you might think, okay, it's a tree, it's all, but actually it's not. It's just not totally coherent. But so anyway, yeah. So this is fantastic story. So let's see how long I've been talking, and let's get back to read the comments. How many people? 13 people. Okay, so comments and Q&A session. So Bartholomew digress, Xah digress. The hypothesis is wrong. English is not so developed language, just rent. I've never heard of this Lojban thing. Okay, now you have. You should look into if you ever felt restrained by the language you are mainly using to explain things to other humans. Lojban. So Lojban is or loglang is a logical language, right? But however, um, I think there are issues, because first of all, it will never become popular. It's like all these artificial constructed languages. Nobody will learn it. The only people who are interested or learning it are logicians, mathematicians or programmers. That's it. No other people who are not nerds, they are not interested. And also among logicians, one thing I think with the issue of Lojban is that okay, so Lojban is this logical language, 100% logical. But however, once if it gets popular, if let's say a country or let's say 1 million people speak it, then I believe, okay, this is my thought. I believe it will no longer remain logical. The language will evolve into illogicality, just like other natural languages, and it will happen in such. I mean, it's I think it's something. It's unavoidable. Like, suppose Lojban becomes popular, suppose there are 1 million people speaking it, and very soon, I mean, as the more people you speak it, it will more likely to become illogical. It will just evolve into totally illogical again. That's my thought. So this opinion is kind of I I talk to like if you talk to the Lojban community, they are all nerds. They don't know nothing. Okay, truly, they are not like thinking about. I mean, a lot of people are interested, true, but I mean the nerds. But um, anyway, so I think that so it will evolve into illogicality, and I don't know if this is. I haven't seen people discuss it like oftentimes when you have some ideas you discuss to these nerds and anyway, so I'm pretty sure that there are linguistics who will be able to discuss this issue fruitfully, but you have to like find you have to find a group. Usually it's hard to find such people. No echo. Okay, so let me see. So Lojban and Esperanto is another very interesting language. Esperanto is much more popular. Esperanto is particularly popular in China because in mid 1940, 1930 or 1950s, the China they well, it's a long history, but they wanted to replace Chinese characters. They want to modernize the China was in big trouble because other countries hitting China and in war. So the leaders they want to there's a movement lasting for several decades to eradicate the Chinese language, the writing system at least. So anyway, so Esperanto for a while has become very popular in China because this Esperanto is a very it's a constructed language, very regular and easy to learn. So there's a thought Chinese will start to use Esperanto instead. It happens. It's a period of time in China. So and there are also, as far as I know, there were Chinese radio stations that use Esperanto. Uh, yeah. So if you learn Lojban or Logland, you will you will notice a lot of the semantic, illogical issues and expressibility, the power of expression, things like that. Like, it's like you can, like, yeah. Okay, so Lojban, so Bartholomew says, well, Lojban it's to be expected, the more complicated topic. Oh, you heard the recordings, great. Okay, so is it worth learning? That really just depending on you. Yeah, because if as far as learning materials, there's mathematics. That's a black hole. Then computer science itself is a black hole. Theoretical computer science. Well, that's part of math. And the practical programming, that's also too much stuff to learn in a person's lifetime. You have JavaScript, you have front end, you have game dev, networking dev, protocol networking protocols, yeah, and then you have Bitcoin, you have these, the what's the technology behind Bitcoin? That's the hashtag, the basically a hash chain, blockchain, so there's infinite things to learn. So whether Lojban is worth learning, that's really up to you. In general, no. Okay, because it's useless. You're not gonna find anyone using Lojban. And but if you are interested in linguistics and logics, it's worthwhile, because if that's your interest, because you learn things about semantics, what really, things like that. And but also, by the way, no university is teaching it. If you go into a university linguistic program, they have nothing to do with logement. One thing interesting is about university. You think, normally you think, oh, university is a center of education. Therefore, if you study linguistics, the linguistic department, they must, have something about Lojban, but actually not. Why not? Not because Lojban it doesn't teach, not because of logical reason, but mostly because universities, they are funded by governments. They are fashionable too, funded by fashion. Because Lojima nobody speaks. If you, on the other hand, if you teach French, oh yeah, a lot of people want to study French. If you teach Chinese, especially today, because Chinese becomes powerful, the China becomes powerful. Yeah, oh yeah, I want to go to Stanford University. I want to go to your university. I want to pay. I want to apply so I can study Chinese. University, part of the function is to make money for themselves. That's why. Bartholomew, curiosity is what makes human move forward. It is first step, advance to the second. Okay. Xah said, open source. We need another Unix Linux rant. No. Uh, Open source. Yeah. Dan V says, for programming languages, I absolutely agree. It definitely molds the way you think. Yeah. Jean-Louis says, but I'm foreign speaker, so Lojban I call foreigners English. Me love you, me hungry, me sleeping, totally logical. Deckway says, there is a kid who learned Klingon as his first language. Oh, is that true? That's interesting. Uh, Bartholomew says, yes, he mentioned Unix philosophy, running, coming, keep your head down voice. uh, Source projects. The good old KDE wizard. What KDE wizard? Oh, I don't think I have a KDE logo. Logo should be made by professional designers. Yeah. I also don't understand how so many forks are just named upstream name 2, upstream name 3. Okay, what do you mean? Hold on a second. Let me see how many more comments. Okay, we almost done with the comments. Let's see. I'm saying how many folks. So if you have questions, post it. Okay. So Bartholomew says it is always the same, not practiced at all, and makes maybe sense for C programmers, not for normal human being. Sun Microsystems logo is absolutely fantastic. Yes, I agree. I'm going to make a logo for me. Deckways, okay. Forget my name. Remember me by my logo. Yeah. You need the logo on your face, so I won't recognize you. Human faces are so generic, so no creativity. That's true. Where were the designers when faces were created? But the thing about human face, yeah, it's so generic. It's interesting because, for example, I'm Chinese, so when I look at white people, I cannot tell. Well, I can now because I've been in US for so long. For example, if you look at Asians, you probably cannot tell the difference between Japanese, Chinese, Koreans, Vietnamese. But I can, we can tell. Like we pretty much, 90% accurate. We can tell, and also within China, there are different, people in different regions. You can also recognize, differences. Like, oh, you can tell, oh, he's from the north, he's from the south. So, but to outsiders, you cannot because human face only. It's like if you look at monkeys, can you tell which monkey is different from the face? No, you cannot. But I guess the monkeys can because we developed particular sensitivities. Yeah, we are extremely sensitive. We can recognize all the emotions. Like I've read, human face, you have like thousands of muscles that controls your face, and you can tell. This is why you can tell a genuine smile from a fake one. If you say hi, you smile. There's a difference. I mean, it's not just psychological. There's actual difference from a smile. You try to smile from a genuine smile that someone made you giggle or something. The muscle, they are different. Uh, okay, so Marco Avila says between Expos and truly ergonomic keyboard, which one you think is better? Expo is better, absolutely. Uh, yeah. I'm not going to go into that. Well, let's look at. I think that's about it. Yeah. So let me show you the keyboard. Okay, between Expos and um, let me show you what they are. So this is the Expo keyboard, and oops, hold on a second. So what's going on? Okay, so Expo keyboard and history, keyboard history, and ergonomic keyboard history, and you have these truly ergonomic. So this is a truly ergonomic keyboard. That's their name. That's their brand name. I have it. I've been using it for like three or 4 years. They stopped making it now, but they have a new version. They have a new version. Anyway, so this is the old version. So, and then you have these expos. Expos is better. Okay. Uh, Now both of them are flat. If you really type a lot, you want actually tinted, but flat is for most people, flat is good. Anyway, so I think expo, yeah, definitely go for expos. But I should mention truly ergonomic. They have a new version. Okay. let me show that. Okay, so let me go to keyboard. Okay, so yeah, they have this new version. Yeah, this is their new version. Now um, I don't have this. I'm not sure it's already out or not. You can go to their website to check. And I have not actually analyzed the design. So so if you are thinking between these and hold on seconds. So between these and the Expo, I'm not sure which one is better. Okay, so yeah, but the Expo is definitely better than the old truly ergonomic. Does that make sense? So Mike, who is that? Marco Avila. So that's my answer. Is it religious book? The Arabian Nights? No, it's not religious. In fact, it's sacrilegious. The as far as I know, I learned from the Middle East people. And also I read from Wikipedia. They don't care for Arabian Nights. That book. Um, yeah, it's not religious. Arabian Nights. So religious books are by definition of entertainment. Huh? And no, it's not Islamic book. So basically, my sense is that it's not religious. Okay, the Arabian Nights. Okay, if you ask people in Middle East, I think the devout is Islam believers. They don't like it. They don't like it. Okay, but the non-believers, I don't think they care for it much neither. Yeah, but however, the book is full of Allah because I think that's the culture of the Middle East culture. Like it's full of Allah, the greatest. Let me also show you some Unicode. Okay, let's go to Unicode because um, let's see if I can find my website without typing my name. Okay, so that page is not popular yet. So Xah Unicode Arabic. Okay, there it is. So that's Arabic, and they are written from right to left, and you have all these are you have lots of things like this. For example, this one ligature is Arabic ligature yay with hamza above you final. Like often these lectures they Aleph, they have names of God, Aleph or something. Like for example, there is the most popular one is this one. Let me show you this one. Arabic literature, Bismillah, Ara, Bismillah, Araham, Arahim, something like that. Okay, Bismillah is God, and also this one, they have like anyway. So that's part of Middle East culture. It's kind of you have that all over. Uh, Scheherazade is about to die by that man, so she is speaking him stories to avoid the death. Yes, because the king he got cheated by his wife, so he killed his wife. Then he hates all women. Okay, he decided, I'm going to have a new wife every day. And by the next morning, I'm gonna cut her head off. So that's what the king is doing. Then you have this visor, the one of the uh, um, one of the, how do you call that, one of the king's advisor, give king advices. So his daughter offered to be the king's wife. you know and the visor says, are you crazy? No. Yeah, that's a very interesting story. Okay, here, okay, the first story, the story of a king, Shara, and his brother. Okay, then at the bottom, the daughter uh, says to his dad, she wants to go, she wants to go. And of course the dad says no. But then the daughter says something. I don't remember where. Okay, so here let's read. When the vaza is kind of the word for some kind of official around the king, give the king advices. So when the vaza heard from his daughter these words, he related to her from first to last all that had happened between him and the king. Okay, so anyway, it begins a little bit before, but anyway, so his daughter offered to go. Then he says no, and I think he started to tell a story, like he started to tell a story within. So that's why it's a story within a story. So he began to tell a story. So the daughter heard that. Then the daughter replied by telling another story. So that's yeah. So that's like that. Uh, if you want to, this is a long read. Let me show you one passage. Okay, one short story. By the way, I don't have the whole story here by the Sir Richard, um, Sir Sir Richard Burton, because it's like several volumes. It's like several volumes. So I only have like 16, 17, 15 of them. By the way, the Aladdin, that's not actually part of the Arabian Nights. The Aladdin and 40 Thieves, those famous popular stories you seen from Disneyland, from Disney, that's actually not the core Arabian Nights. And I read, I also read Sir Richard Burton's translation of the Aladdin. In comparison, it's no good. Yeah, you have the genie, but in comparison, it pales in comparison to the others. So anyway, let me show you this. Yeah, so all the ones I've annotated, that's fantastic, spectacular. Not just a story, but then it comes to the monsters. The genies, the monsters, or the different monsters. Okay. Uh, but if you want just read, spend, if you want, if you are a modern man, you're looking at your iPhone or whatever phone all the time, you don't have time to study stuff. You can just read this, spend 5 minutes. Like today, you have blogs that says this post is 5 minutes reading. This post is 3 minutes reading. So this post is 5 minutes reading. Then you'll get a picture of what the part of the Arabian Nights is like, from Richard's. I kept wanting to say Richard Stallman, from Richard Burton. Okay, I think that's it today. That I think that I've been talking. Okay, yeah, that's I've been talking for 70 minutes. So what else? Let's see. I'm gonna answer questions for 1 minute or a few more minutes. Let's see. Uh, so let's see. Let me cover my eyes. Since you say that Lojban community is full of nerds, I think that might be one reason for why this language exists for so long. and at all across normal people. Yeah, I mean nobody wants to study logical language. Like for example, how many people wants to study logic? The mathematics, symbolic logic, predicate logic, proof theory. You'll find very few. And not just logic, and even mathematicians. By the way, let me say, logic. So logic, proof theory, math foundations, set theory. That's a giant branch of mathematics. But however, among mathematicians, that's kind of fringe. Okay, well, not fringe, but that's kind of nobody study it. Mathematicians, like very few, like less than 10%, even less than 5%, even less than that. Among all mathematicians, maybe 2%, less than, let's say, less than 5% actually study set theory, proof theory, logic, symbolic logic, first order logic, those kind of thing. Less than 5%, even less, much less than that. Most mathematicians, they study. So what they study? They study differential equations, differential geometry analysis, complex analysis, algebra, many branches of algebra, geometry, geometry. Those are the mainstream. Because why? Because those actually are practical. They solve problems, like especially differential equations, differential geometry, differential anything with differential and integral, and that's part of calculus. Calculus is the beginning course of that. So why are they used? Because they useful. They apply to physics. You send people to the moon. That's all calculus. Differential. You want us to study. Jet. You want to go beyond the speed of sound. You know, differential equations and everything is differential equation. Lots of that is, and for computer graphics, linear algebra. So very few people actually study the set theory, and logic, and proof thesis. That's kind of like fringe. Okay, it's almost like among programmers, Haskell, Lisp, that's a fringe. Okay, nobody actually do that. Most people they do C++, gaming, C++, JavaScript front end, web design, web, that's it's kind of like that. Uh, I think that's it for today. Let's see, better than Mandarin. He could talk with us. Let's finish the study. I forgot my Lojban. I forgot most of it. Uh, Freaky people who are smart and do crazy shit. Uh, yeah, I'm using Ergo keyboard. I show this almost in every of my video. I've been showing this because every time people ask, I show it. So this is my keyboard. And this is my hand. And if you turn this camera around slowly, you see me. You see, so I'm using Kinesis keyboard. Go to my website and buy it. Okay, so I think that's it for today. So let's see. Set theory we learned in first grade elementary school. Oh, that's interesting. No, my mouse is not ergonomic. My mouse is this Logitech. I forgot the number, but it's I can show you. My mouse is, let's see. Okay, so let's see, keyboard, mouse, how to choose a mouse and so on. Logitech G502. Okay, so, and this is got the infinite spin wheel. For example, I can. Okay, so if we go to my blog, for example, you see, let me show you the infinite scroll. You see, if I do it fast, it'll scroll all the way. Like, even, it's fantastic. It's one of the feature. It's necessary. It's almost like necessary for me, especially if you use Linux, because on Linux you do not have accelerated scroll, and that's painful because if you don't have accelerated scroll, you're gonna do like this, like this, you know. That's what happens in Linux, yet you have people saying, oh, Linux is fantastic, Linux has got problems everywhere. So this is what happens in Linux, except maybe in Chrome or Firefox, because those app has, in other words, in Linux there is no global general way to have accelerated scroll. On the Mac you can, because I'm not going to show it. I think that's it for today. Yeah, it's a very popular mouse among gamers. So actually, let me show you. Let me show you actually. Let's post a link so in case people want to buy it. Trackball mouse. So that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Yeah, I mean GNU on Linux kernel. You should not say Linux. It's GNU Linux. Richard Stallman. Thank you guys for watching. Great to see you guys. So many people. Hope to see you next time. Bye.